These yet unidentified skeletal remains were the last to be found in Suffolk County, and that occurred on April 4th, 2011. We expect that DNA analysis will confirm that these remains are that of a male. Forensic anthropologists conclude that the male is more likely Asian, in his late teens to early 20s. His remains were found clothed and appear to have been present at the site for a significant length of time, and when I say length of time, I'm talking about years. The skeleton shows evidence of trauma, but the cause of death is radically different from all the other remains that we have found to date. His death has been classified by the medical examiner's office as a homicide. Continuing on the map, number 5, you can see those remains were found on March 29th, 2011. Those remains have been identified through DNA as the additional remains of a female, Jessica Taylor, whose remains were also discovered on July 26, 2003, in the vicinity of Manorville, on the northwest corner of Halsey Manor Road and the Long Island Expressway by a sump recharge basin. At the time that her body was discovered in 2003, Ms. Taylor's remains were missing her head, hands, and forearm. The remains that we found on March 29th, 2011 are the remains, the head, hands, and forearm of Ms. Taylor. We know that Ms. Taylor had lived and worked as a prostitute in Washington, D.C., but had fled from there to New York City, where she remained for a few days prior to her disappearance. Prior to her disappearance on July 21st, 2003, she was working in the vicinity of 10th Avenue in New York City as a prostitute in Manhattan. It is very clear that whoever killed and dismembered Ms. Taylor, leaving her partial remains in Manorville and partially in Gilgo Beach, was very intent on preventing her identity from being discovered, even going to great lengths to try and remove a tattoo from her body. The remains that have been linked by DNA, the remains have been linked by DNA to a yet unidentified female whose body was also originally discovered in Manorville on November 19th in the year 2000 in a heavily wooded area approximately 1/2 mile west of Halsey Manor Road. And like Ms. Taylor, again, remains disposed of north of the Long Island Expressway.
Yeah, we're still concerned about the disappearance of Shannon Gilbert. We're going to continue our efforts to find her. It's obviously something that we'd like to bring to a conclusion, both for our investigation and also for her family.